Good morning from Lisbon. It's about 8:30 in the morning. No, I'm just kidding. It's 7 p.m. at night. I forgot to record this in the morning. But anyhow, this is a quick introduction of what I did today. Basically, I went around to some key opinion leaders here in Lisbon to really try to understand who are the people to talk to when we talk about startups. But not only that, to really understand how is the local ecosystem for startups here. So I went out to meet two people who run some types of accelerators. I met a few people off the record that preferred not to be filmed. And I also got a little bit of an insight from a startup that I actually also featured on the show, on the big startup show that is going to be published soon, so not quite yet. I hope you enjoyed this insight into the local Lisbon startup ecosystem. So guys, we are just here now in Lisbon at one of the accelerators. Ricardo, maybe give us a short background about who you are and where we are right now.
So my name is Ricardo. I'm one of the founders of BTI, and this is like an innovation hub. And we started back in 2010 with a group of founders that basically wanted to bring entrepreneurship as a way out of the crisis without bailout, bit by bit, from inspiration to ideas to prototypes to products to investments. Suddenly we were able to build BTI, which in this building today where we are has about 300 people and 40 startups and an ecosystem inside the building.
Mm-hmm. What is it that inspired you to start all of this?
One, I had done a few startups before, and two, also because when you feel that your country is in need, you want to help in some way. There was like 40% unemployment for the young generation. It's tough when you see also your friends and they talk to you and they're afraid of maybe losing their job because they did a mistake, or they can't find a job and they've been looking for a year. It touches you, and so you arrive to a point where you want to help. This was our way of helping.
Very cool. So tell me maybe one or two startups that you would say reflect kind of like the ecosystem here in Lisbon.
We had quite a few good successes here in Portugal. Most well-known startup is today Farfetch. It's a tech fashion platform. They're going for an IPO in a month. Hopefully it's going to be successful.
Yeah.
And there's also OutSystems, our second unicorn. But then there's Feedzai, Unbabel, Aptoid. All these companies are being super successful, raised tens of millions to grow their business. Mm-hmm. And we believe they're going to be quite big in the next year or two.
Right. What do you think is making, let's say, the Lisbon and Portuguese ecosystem, startup ecosystem, so special?
Well, I think Lisbon is in a right moment now. Not only because suddenly it's like a hidden gem that people discovered.
Yeah.
In terms of tourism, you can see a boom in real estate and people coming here from all over the world. But also because the government was able to understand that, okay, we left the crisis and now we really have to go to innovation and push forward the business so that the economy grows. Mm-hmm. And this change of mindset from the bailout to a positive sign of the economy changed the perspective, not only for the Portuguese, but also for the foreigners. And so the foreigners also come and they want to invest because they see the positive side.
Good. So, good luck. Thank you so much for showing me around, taking the time. I appreciate it, and I'll see you around, I guess. Thanks. Very big coincidence. I came into this building right here, and I saw Sherpany, one of our former guests of the startup show. Maybe give my audience a quick rundown why you decided to open up an office here in Lisbon.
5 years ago, actually, when we started our business in Zurich, we were on the lookout for talent, as basically all the startups. And we came up with the idea to go to Lisbon because we have some personal connections to this city. And we just tried it basically, and it worked out from the beginning quite well.
Yes. Tell me, you're one of the biggest and fastest growing startups in Switzerland. What is it, let's say, the differences that you see in the ecosystem here in Lisbon versus Zurich?
One of the differences is the beautiful weather. I think that makes the people a bit more relaxed here. And the pace is also different. It's not that like the southern countries are slower than the more Western European countries. I think that's not the case. What's the biggest difference is here is really people are connecting with each other more than in Zurich.
So maybe one sentence about the video that we did with the startup show. What happened since then?
We got contacted by quite a few people,
Yes.
like, so hey, we saw the video and it's a great video and etc. So that's quite cool. What happened since then? I mean, Tobias mentioned there already that we're focusing on general meeting management a bit more than traditional board meetings, and we could win a couple of customers.
Yes.
That's quite cool, and we're still growing, adding new customers to our solution.
Very good. Matthias, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Your time.
And enjoy Lisbon.
Thank you. See you.
Yeah.
So we are now at Brixel. Brixel is actually a company that is based in Zurich, but they have a team here in Lisbon. And now I have the big pleasure to meet with Nuno.
Yes.
Nuno, maybe give us a short explanation of how you perceive the local startup ecosystem here in Lisbon.
The startup ecosystem here is very dynamic. There's lots of things happening, like meetups, many companies exchange information, and more startups are starting to come here. There's a lot happening here.
Yeah. What do you think, let's say, when you look at Lisbon as a startup ecosystem, what is, like, let's say, the key characteristics of it that you would say makes the Lisbon startup ecosystem so special?
Well, I believe it's two things. The first one is that there is a great balance between cost and quality. And the second thing I think is the reason for it is the Portuguese mentality. This idea that since we remember in the history of Portugal, we have always been conquerors that go and try new things, that are keen in new technologies. And that's something that has always been part of Portugal. So I think those two things are the main things.
Sure. I mean, like, as you said before, part of your team is in Zurich. How is it, let's say, your perspective on the differences between Zurich and Lisbon in terms of startups ecosystem?
We are already working in these projects for 3 years and a half. And between Zurich and Lisbon, there is a big cultural difference. I would say that has always been a challenge for us. You created strategies to cope with that, so that now we have a good relationship, so that things now work really well. Mainly, I believe that Swiss culture is more focused on quality, on having the right thing done in the right way, on rules, not so dynamic, not so social. And we are more social, more keen to try new things, to risk. So I would say that, for example, Swiss people, they like to risk, but just until a certain degree.
Yeah.
So it's a safe risk, and we go
All in.
All in. Yeah.
Very cool. Good. So thank you so much for these insights for in the Lisbon startup ecosystem. And let's see who else we have on the road today. So make sure to stay tuned. So the purpose of this trip is to really get a deep insight into the local Lisbon startup ecosystem. So I really wanted to meet with a couple of KOLs, key opinion leaders. So we had 4 meetings in the morning, 2 meetings in the afternoon to really get a sense of the local ecosystem for startups.
My name is António, Lucena Faria. I'm an entrepreneur since I was 15 years old, and I'm the founder of Fábrica de Startup here in Portugal. Fábrica de Startup is a company that we started 6 years ago with a mission of helping people become successful entrepreneurs. We want to promote entrepreneurship, but also we want to help people before they start a business to validate their business ideas. We don't want to let them just to start a business. We want them to start a business that has a high probability of being successful. So it's really important for us, the 2 words, entrepreneur and success. We think that through validation we can increase the odds. We are not just venture here in Portugal. We really care very much about bringing entrepreneurs, which we know there are a lot of entrepreneurs not just here in Portugal and in Europe. We have seen amazing entrepreneurs in South America, in particular in Brazil, and we are so happy that some of them trust us to come to Portugal and develop their business here. We want to do more and more of that. That's why we established Fábrica de Startups in Brazil, and we are seeing the same happening in China. And fantastic Chinese entrepreneurs that want to expand their business outside China, and we are here to help them.
How would you describe, let's say, the ecosystem here in Portugal?
Well, I think it's growing very quickly, the interest in terms of entrepreneurship. I think that we have fantastic conditions for anyone that wants to come to Portugal and start their business. It's not just typical things that people talk when they talk about Portugal. We also have very good technical skills and people available that we can hire. And most Portuguese have this ability of interacting with other cultures and being able to build business from day one that are global businesses, not just local businesses. We have all the right conditions to start a business here. If you want to do it, welcome.
Okay. So do you have, I guess, like you have probably a lot of international experience also, like which other, let's say, startup hubs or ecosystems have you seen?
Well, the typical ones, and the ones that started this movement some years ago, like Y Combinator and Techstars, obviously. Actually, one of the founders of Fábrica Startups now is working at Techstars. Those are the examples that most of us in the beginning follow. Accelerator model is a business that is still growing, and we are trying to find what is the best way to make it profitable. In our case, we are, from day one, we started as a company that had an objective clearly of having revenue and being profitable, which we managed to do, but even ourselves are always looking for new ways to promote our value proposition and increase our value to our entrepreneurs and find ways to monetize that help that we give to entrepreneurs. So it's an ongoing work that we still have a lot to do, but I think we are moving in the right direction. We started here in Portugal also. We were one of the first to do a startup studio or a venture builder. We have another company that we created with shareholders, and these people gave us the money for us to find great business ideas, find people that entrepreneurs, we call them builders, and help them through the process of validation. And if they've proven that they get the evidence that the business is successful, we'll finance the business and help them along the way. We'll give them everything that they need, the technology, the space, the networking, everything they need to become successful.
You just need to take the puzzle and put it together.
Yeah, exactly.
Which very cool.
Looks easier than it is.
Sure, because it's many pieces.
Lots of pieces, exactly.
Good. So thank you so much for giving me your time.